We are live for Knicks Game 5. Knicks for Clicks, Rami, Lavi, Bryce, Gelman, pregame for Knicks Game 5. We've evened the series. We're going back to the Garden. This is the series. This is it.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, my TV, for whatever reason, turns on every day at 7:30. It makes no sense. The same time every day. I didn't set it like that. I didn't set it to do that, but sorry, I had to do that. Yes, Rami, this is the series. 2-2. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't need to, bring up any stats for you to understand. The winner of Game 5 in a 2-2 series goes on to win the series. I probably like 80 to 90% of the time. So, of course, you want to continue to have home court advantage. The Knicks are a better team at home. They looked a lot better than the Hawks did the other day. And I think that was due to a bunch of different schematic changes, which I want to get into, Rami, but give me your overall thoughts going into this game.
What I feel, and you're going to be shocked, is I'm positive again. Now, positive with a caveat. If you lose this game, the season is over. This is the season on the line tonight. So I am positive because of how good the Knicks looked in Game 4. And I think finally Mike Brown should realize, okay, that's what worked. We need to do that. I think finally the players realize, hey, we need to ratchet up the defensive energy. I think somebody used the analogy. I think it was KP actually on the morning show. He had a little spot on Boomer and Gio this morning.
He did.
Talk about how sometimes you're driving and you're just in cruise control and you're just cruising and you think it's fine. And then all of a sudden a car cuts in front of you. You have to slam on the brakes and you realize, wait, I got to lock in. The Knicks were on cruise control for 4 games or 3 games, I should say. And then they locked in. They need to realize that the cruise control, it's good. They're still good, but not good enough. They need to lock in. I think they'll stay locked in for Game 5 because, like I said, this game is the series. If there's ever a time to stay locked in, this is it. I don't want to win. I want to win by 40. I want to blow them out. I want to leave no doubt.
I think I was more concerned and I wouldn't say more nervous, but I felt like the stakes were higher going into the last game, going into Game 4. Because if the Knicks go down 3-1, they're in deep you-know-what. And I feel like now with what we saw last game, we know the Knicks are capable of playing the type of basketball that we thought they'd be able to play the entire season. We saw sporadically over time. In the last game, with what we saw from Mike Brown, it gives me hope. That's what it was. We know they could replicate that. We know that because we've seen it. They just did it. So, I mean, obviously we hope they could do it, but considering the fact that, we looked at it directly in the face, that could happen again. And one of the biggest things, Rami, that I very much enjoyed is the Knicks finally decided to put Jalen Brunson on Dyson Daniels. I get putting the big on Dyson Daniels. I get putting Cat on him because you got the 7-footer able to roam in the paint. But putting Jalen Brunson on Rami, he might be the worst offensive player in the league. He's got no offensive game. He can't shoot to save his life. He can't even make layups. The guy is atrocious. So putting Jalen Brunson on that, yeah, he's 6'1" or whatever the hell Jalen Brunson is, but he doesn't have to worry about Dyson Daniels until he gets within 10 feet. And even then, you could still hedge off. So the idea that you have to put Dyson Daniels in actions to get Jalen Brunson on the primary ball, fine. Okay. It's like a one-trick pony. What are you going to do? Fade? No. You know what I mean? You could double the guy immediately. That's the thing. All right, they essentially could dare you to throw it to Dyson Daniels. Okay, throw it to him. Now we know, OG Anunoby can get involved in the paint. He can contest a potential wide open Dyson Daniels layup that even if he was wide open, he'd only make 60% of the time. So we are talking about a guy that needs to be exploited because on the defensive side, Dyson Daniels is unmatched, right? He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. It has been extremely difficult for Jalen Brunson to get to his spots, to get to the rim and do what he wants and what we've seen him do time and time again. But on the offensive end, you need to make it so hard for the Hawks to keep Dyson Daniels in. And Rami, we saw this, and we've seen this in the Pistons series consistently. None of those guys could shoot. They have zero spacing. And Azar Thompson is an amazing defender. What do the opposing defenses do? They give him 20 feet. So you have no spacing on the offensive end, and they're not good enough defensively, collectively as a team, to keep Asar Thompson in for 35, 40 minutes a game. The Knicks need to replicate that here. They need to continue replicating that here with Dyson Daniels.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Matt, dude, you should have came in 5 minutes ago. He got 2 minutes ago. He's going to get plenty of run right now. All right.
3 things, actually. I'm going to say 3 things, Matthew, off of what Bryce just said. 2 of them about the defense and 1 of them about the offense. So about the defense, the 2 of them is 1, Karl-Anthony Towns has been the far better defender in this series than Jalen Brunson has. I don't think that's debatable. So putting Jalen Brunson on the worst defender instead of Karl-Anthony Towns actually makes sense because they can't exploit Karl-Anthony Towns the way they were able to exploit Jalen Brunson. Number 2, what's happening because the Hawks are trying to get Jalen Brunson involved on the offensive end when they're on offense, trying to get involved on defense and bringing Dyson Daniels into play, it causes the Knicks to put more pressure on the ball because now Jalen Brunson can hedge off of Daniels and now he's putting more pressure on the ball handler. So if they're getting a screen, trying to get the switch, all of a sudden, look how much defensive pressure there was on CJ McCollum. He couldn't get open. He couldn't get free. There was way more pressure on the ball than previously. And the third thing is offensively. You mentioned Jalen Brunson. He's been locked up defensively, getting locked up on the defensive end. Look, Jalen Brunson actually offensively, when he was playing off ball, was actually really good in this game. The ball kept finding him a couple of times where he's open for easy shots because of how much the ball is moving, because they're running the offense through OG and Cat. That's what we need to see more of. Now, part of it was almost by accident. Early in the third quarter, I think it was, when Brunson goes out hurt and Cat's on the floor without Brunson, it almost accidentally happened. And all of a sudden, things like opened up for the Knicks offense where Cat's running everything. And that's where they really took control of the game and ran away with it. That needs to be the mindset from the start. And by the way, we should see that already the start of the second quarter. We know Jalen's going to play the whole first. If Cat sits at the 7-minute mark of the first quarter and then goes out, I want to see it.
We got a comment that essentially, no, I mean, so the king of the 5-0-5-8, I want to see them play through Cat early. I'm nervous Brunson and MSG will try to be the lead guy, which hasn't worked. And that kind of goes along with what you're saying right now.
It's more than him just being the lead guy. It's, I want to see the staggered minutes again. I'm afraid that the staggered minutes only happened by accident in game 4. But it worked so well. You have to go back to it. You have to go back to the staggered minutes and the start of the second quarter. I think the first quarter, fine. They should work together, 2-man game, running Brunson off the ball, all those things. Yes, agreed. But specifically to start the second quarter, and I don't know what you think about this because I want to give him his props because he's been great in the series. But Jose Alvarado, I don't think is going to be the long-term answer at backup point guard. He's brought them some He's brought them some energy. He's hit a couple of shots in game 4, which is surprising. I think ultimately it's still going to be Landry Shamet, who we saw hit shots in garbage time at the end of game 4, which I think is important. I think him being part of that second unit, but him being part of that second unit off the ball with Karl-Anthony Towns having the ball in his hands and running the offense. I don't want to see Deuce McBride trying to play point guard. I don't want to see Landry Shamet or Jose Alvarado with the ball in their hands. I want to see the second unit run through Karl-Anthony Towns. More important.
Well, I mean, listen, someone's got to take the ball up. You know what I mean? Someone's got to control the ball. Cat can't dribble around the court. He catches the ball at the elbow. If he wants to get back to the 3-point line, he's got to give it to someone else, and they have to initiate offense to get him there. You know what I mean?
But in the half court, they've been so much better. First of all, they need to run a slower down offense in the half court anyway, because that's really what gets the Hawks off of their game, because their game is run and gun. And when they can't do that, they have no offense in the half court, especially when the Knicks are playing defense like you talked about earlier. So look, pressure the ball defensively, and on the offensive side, slow it down, run it through Cat again, play Jalen Brunson off ball, and keep OG Anunoby involved, because honestly, I think he's been the best Knick in this series.
He has. And Rami, I've said it all year long. He might be the best Knick. Like, I know that in the league, when we refer to the top, let's say 20 or 30 players in the NBA, we rarely account for defense. Like Nikola Jokic as a defender, like, is he a good defender? Absolutely not. No. And he's out of shape and whatever and yada, yada, yada. But he's so good on the offensive end that you could warrant putting him up there as the number 1 guy in the league. And that's,
it makes Wemby so special also, obviously.
Exactly. That's the thing. So that's why I think Wemby's the best player in the league, but we could go on and on about that debate. When we talk about the most impactful player on the Knicks, it's OG Anunoby. All right, like no matter what you want to say, Brunson, Cat, it's OG because of what he provides you on defense. And especially over the last couple of weeks, Rami, what he's providing you on offense. He has become this series the best option on offense, right?
And the
no matter,
stats bear it out. When he scores 20 plus, the Knicks are virtually unbeatable.
Yeah, they barely lose. And it's very easy because you look at all the smaller players that they need to throw on OG Anunoby, because like Okongwu has to guard Cat, right? Like Cat is too big. He'll still body Okongwu. But if we look at everyone else in that starting lineup, like, okay, you get a mismatch of OG against, Naw. If you get a mismatch, with CJ McCollum on him, like, you're screwed. Those are automatic points. Even Jalen Johnson. Also, you don't want Jalen Johnson down there because he's a great perimeter defender. He's a great, just all-around defender. By the way, I love Jalen Johnson. A little aside, love if the Knicks had him instead of Mikal Bridges. That's another story for another day. But you mentioned Landry Shamet. And I brought this up in the past in some of our early episodes because lately Shamet hasn't played much and he hasn't been a part of our overall discourse, again, because he's not playing. But what I did say when he was playing a lot, he was a point of discussion, was that this guy is an MSG riser. He thrives at home. That is the type of player that, even if what I've been seeing lately hasn't necessarily, met my eye or whatever the phrase is,
he hasn't been good enough lately.
I'm still willing to try it out. Because that's the type of guy, if you look at his splits, he performs way better at MSG. And that's the type of spark plug you need at the Garden.
I agree. And the only thing that I fear is that Mike Brown said, hey, it wasn't working with Landry at the point guard or Deuce at the point guard with Landry on the floor. That's why we went to Alvarado. I don't want you to stop thinking about it that way. You're thinking about it too like linear almost. Like you're thinking about it like, okay, we need a point guard on the floor. We wanted the point guard to be Deuce. So then Shamet couldn't play because Deuce couldn't be the point guard. We couldn't run the offense through him. And that's why I mentioned running the offense through Karl-Anthony Towns, because if Deuce just brings the ball up and then hands it off to Towns, you can run the offense through Karl-Anthony Towns. And then that allows you to have the extra shooter in Shamet on the floor, because Alvarado, for all the energy and all the fun things he does, he's going to get exposed. Talk about leaving Dyson Daniels alone. They're just going to leave him alone and let him be
he's not that bad. He can't shoot, but he's not as bad as Daniels.
He's not as bad, but from the shooting perspective and what a defense can do sagging off of him, it really does change everything the Knicks offense can do if there's another defender sagging off of him. So I think that's where the problem comes into play, that you have another guy out there who's not a good enough shooter to warrant somebody stepping out on him. And look, he shot the ball well in game 4. If that continues in game 5, more power to him. Keep him on the floor. But I do want to see, and this is something we talked about, and it goes back to last year. Who was the guy who rose in the Indiana series? It was Landry Shamet. And Landry Shamet, like you said, specifically at home, he's the guy that can add an extra element. So I'm not telling you to totally bench Alvarado, but especially if Mikal is struggling again, I want to see Shamet get those minutes. I want to see you try and put him in that Mikal Bridges spot. I like that Mikal Bridges is still starting. I like that they're not completely going away from him, because he did have a solid first half in game 4. I want to see him, because here's the bottom line. You can win this series without Mikal Bridges. You can't win against Boston. And by the way, that's going to be the conference finals. It's Boston, because you think the Magic or Cleveland?
Hey, listen, not Cleveland, but who knows with Orlando?
Orlando stinks, dude. I watched their games. They are so incredibly bad.
They're up 3-1.
It doesn't matter. That's because the Pistons are worse. The Pistons are a
terrible matchup for them, because the physicality is a massive thing for the Pistons, considering the fact they can't shoot. But that's always like dominating in the paint, being physical, and Orlando is a huge team.
But didn't you say it? Didn't you compare the Pistons to that Knicks Julius Randle team that all year long they're the physical team, and then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs and everyone raises their physicality?
Exactly, they're tryhards. During the regular season, congratulations, you're bodying guys who aren't trying. All right. The Knicks also didn't have spacing, and they didn't have a secondary scorer.
And now Kate is exhausted.
At least they had Derrick Rose. At least, like the Pistons don't even have a Derrick Rose.
They have nothing offense. Like Jenkins is coming in to try and be that spark plug off the bench, but that's all they have. Their defense, their offense is so bad. And how much money is Jalen Duren just burning?
Well, yeah, he lost a lot of money. Well, the conversation was 2-3. And then I did tweet this. It's like a silver lining. This is a blessing disguise for the Pistons, because now they don't have to give him the Supermax. Like, he's not worth that. No team is going to offer him anything near that. Maybe they could sign and trade him if they so please. We got another comment here from King. The best offense in the series, a half-court set with Cat looking to pass at the top of the key. and then his second option looking to go downhill helps OG and Brunson find space out. 100%. 100%. Especially when Cat is this efficient. He's not taking more than 12, 13 shots a game.
I was really enjoying
like
the Pistons bashing, but I appreciate that this is a
It's
Knicks
okay.
show.
Let's move on. We're talking
I'm kidding.
We listen, if the Knicks win this game, they win the series, we could bash the Pistons all we want, but let's focus on our series here first. Cat, with how efficient he has been, there's no better offense the Knicks have run all year. There's no more efficient offense because when you are running the offense through a guy who's playing as efficiently as Cat, your entire team is going to be efficient, right? Like Cat with the triple-double, how often does that happen? Once in a blue moon.
Well, the last time was Josh Hart for the Knicks in a playoff series. And you talk about going downhill. He shot 9 free throws, I think, in game 4. You need more of that, more free throw attempts for him. Nobody can defend him, so they're going to foul him. If you look, he only had, I think, 10 shot attempts in the game, but he obviously had more than that. Those were field goal attempts, not including the field goals he got fouled on. So it's another 4 or 5 field goal attempts that he had on top of that, where he gets fouled and ends up at the free throw line. So he should be shooting the ball. And I said this after game 2 or 3. He should be shooting the ball 20 times a game because
Rami, he hasn't shot more than 13 times this entire month. The entire month of April, one of the best offensive talents in NBA history.
But why should I accept that just continuing?
More than 13 times. No, I agree. I'm totally with you. His volume needs to increase. And I've said this in the past. When we're talking about a guy like Cat, you need to run some, off-ball action for him. You need to run screens, pin downs, like whatever it takes to get him open. They don't do that enough. And we saw it a lot with Chris Finch in Minnesota. And we haven't seen it at all under Tom Thibodeau and under Mike Brown.
But you know what I did see?
Offense. He can't, besides going to the basket. And it's working. He's drawing fouls. But if you want to get him open looks, you need to set screens for him. You need to get Brunson the ball. And Brunson could do his thing and then actually pass it.
And a couple of things. One, when Brunson was off the floor, I saw Karl-Anthony Towns for the first time, maybe all year, actively calling for the ball. Like, give me the ball. I want. And so that's what kind of, I don't know if it motivates me or just gives me the feeling that, okay, this could actually happen. This could be something that all of a sudden it clicks for him, because a lot of the conversation this year has been, is Karl-Anthony Towns too passive? Is it the coaching? Is it Jalen Brunson? Whose fault, quote unquote, is it that he's not getting the volume of shot attempts? And a lot of people early in the year, I think it changed to people kind of started looking more at Brunson and Mike Brown. But early in the, like when we talked to Gio, he said that. But earlier in the year, I think a lot of people were looking at Towns like, hey, it's on him. He's got to be more aggressive. He's got to call for the ball. He's got to want it more. And I saw that for the first time in game 4, him calling for the ball, him trying to be more aggressive, him demanding that they run the offense through him. And that's how the Knicks are really going to be successful. So look, I'm optimistic that they will continue to do the same thing. I'm still nervous. I still don't believe Mike Brown is a great coach. So if all of a sudden they just revert back to what we saw in the first 3 games, would you be shocked? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I really wouldn't, because of that's how low that's just how it's been. It's been so up and down all year. But the upside of this team, and maybe that's why you're right. Even if they go down 3-2, they can win a couple of games in a row. If they go down 3-2, I know they can do it, but then it's just so rough, because then you can't afford to have another lapse again. And they've had lapses, and I think they've outplayed this team outside of the first half of game 3. The Knicks have dominated this series, the first half and the fourth quarter of game 2. So 3 quarters in this series so far. Through 4 games, there have been 3 quarters where the Knicks haven't dominated. And I want to see them pedal to the metal, foot on the throat, step on the gas and go. And I want to see it from the start. And you know who has the capability, by the way, of bringing that energy from tip and making sure? Josh Hart. There you go. Because he's been awesome in this series. There's
defensively too, which
there was a 3-minute stretch in the third quarter also of game 4 where he just gets a layup in transition, gets a steal, gets another layup, and then hits a 3, like on a step back 3, all within like a 2-minute stretch. And that's the Josh Hart moment. That's where just like, hey, I'm putting this game out of reach right now. He has the ability to do that from jump until the end. I keep saying it, I want to see him play 42 minutes of just balls to the wall like that.
He's so bipolar. But
like, hasn't he been like this in the best player?
He's been very good. And he was the one guy last year that I killed the most. If you know, you know. That was my biggest talking point. Josh Hart infuriated me because Tom Thibodeau insisted on playing him even when he was shooting 30% from 3 40 plus minutes a game, sacrifice any sort of spacing they could have gotten with some of those bench options instead. This year, it's different. This year, I have to give credit where credit is due, and I haven't killed Hart at all. I put out a tweet like Hart needs to play better or whatever, and then that stretch happened immediately after. It's just hilarious. It's just my luck. Well, it's good. It was a good reverse jinx. But Josh Hart as his own vehicle as the own driving factor, behind the offense, getting everyone in the backcourt quick, getting everyone in the front court quick. I just when he's on, very tough to beat the Knicks. That's the thing with Josh Hart. He's got a lot of impact on this team. So when he plays poorly, you're kind of screwed. That's why I say he's bipolar, because it's either you get one of the best players, maybe the best player on the court, or you get one of the worst who's turning the ball over left and right, can't shoot to save his life, is getting beat back door, is not switching well. We have seen only the good from Josh Hart this series. And I'm not sitting here and saying when is it going to go to shit? I'm not saying that. But you have to become less reliant on him playing efficiently. And that's why I think it's so important that you have that half-court offense and those half-court sets with Cat with the ball, because you can't be too reliant on Josh Hart catching the ball on a defensive rebound and pushing the ball up the court. It's going to work in spurts. It's going to work occasionally. But as we've seen throughout the series, you can't trust it the entire game.
Yeah, but there's
That's
a
why
couple
Cat needs to show up.
Yeah, but there's a couple of things that he does that it's almost like we talk about how are you going to just turn up the pressure from the regular season to the postseason, where, right, we talk about this all the time, the regular season, and they're just kind of cruising, and then all of a sudden the postseason, they raise their level. Josh Hart is a guy who actually can raise his level in the postseason because of the style of play that he has, is a style of play that all of a sudden in the postseason, he's going for every 50-50 ball. He's grabbing every offensive rebound and defensive rebound. You mentioned his defense. It's a defensive effort and energy that is raised in the postseason. And then his coast-to-coast, his ability to just, hey, we need a bucket here. I'm taking the ball the second I grab a rebound, and I'm going all the way to the other end just to get a couple easy buckets here when we need it. Those things, whether he's hitting his shots or not, whether he's playing well or not, those things never change if he does that consistently in a postseason. Those things aren't things that go cold. And those are pure effort plays. Those are plays.
Yeah, they turn into turnovers, and then
they can turn into turnovers, but more often than not, I still appreciate that effort. And it's also what makes the Knicks have an identity, because plays like that from him, Mikal Bridges, you see them from time to time. You see them from OG Anunoby a lot. You see them from Mitchell Robinson a lot. Those effort and energy and hustle plays that you see from those guys, those are series changers. Those are what because when the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau, I truly believe, and I said it at the time, I said they kind of lost their identity. Their identity was going to be toughness, and
they didn't have an identity last year either. That's what we were saying. Look back
against Boston. They didn't have an identity. The resilience, toughness.
Okay, up until the Boston series, they had no identity. All right, so are we going to afford the Knicks this year the same? No,
leash? But I think this year they've become more of an average NBA team where you hit your threes, you win. You miss your threes, you lose.
They were that last year. They were a worse offensive team. They could not beat good teams to save their life.
That's true.
They couldn't. They had no identity until the Boston series. So I'm going to hold out hope that they do create that, and that they do almost imagine themselves into a different reality here. But last game was I think hopefully the stepping stone for that. It's the jumping off point for a Knicks team that is selfless, and it has largely been self-centered around the King of New York, Mr. Legend, Mr. Big Shot, Jalen Brunson.
Big head
Jalen Brunson. And what we saw last game is an offense that looked, for the first time in a long time, cohesive. They were
unlocked.
Unlocked. It was there. And wouldn't you know that when you get the ball out of your point guard's hands, who only tries to score, magical things happen. Rami, I got a little something for you. Of course, we all saw the two Brunsons get into a little skirmish.
I like that, yeah.
Rick was trying to tell Jalen to move the ball more.
How do you know?
I know. I'm not going to reveal my sources, but I do know that. Because
what did your source say to you? Where were they sitting? How did they know this? I need more than
my source has sources. And I trust my source because he's tapped into the Knicks. But this is something that happened. This is And listen, it's pretty plausible, right? Like, what else could it?
I mean,
what else
that's
could it have been about?
that's what
else
people's
could it have been
assumption
about?
was on social media.
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
that's what he
what
was
else
saying.
could it have been
Yeah,
about?
of course.
And I think that's telling. Like when his own dad is being like, pass the fucking ball, man. Like pass the ball. It was working. So why go away from it? Why revert from what is working? That is the biggest question mark going into tonight. Will they revert from it? Or will they continue to stick with it? And will they build on what we saw last game? Because if they do, Rami, if they do, then we could start having the conversations of how far is the team going to go?
Yeah, that's 100%. If we see the same performance that we saw last game, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, they realize, they get it. Something clicked for them. And that's what I want to see people's in the comments. I want to see people's like confidence that we'll continue to see that, because I know my confidence is decent. I think that they're smart enough and they're a good enough team. And Jalen is a good enough player and he's a team player. They asked him about this on, I think it was on the practice day. They asked him, what do you think about running off ball a little bit more? Why do you think the offense looked better when the ball was out of your hands? And he said, whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
I truly believe he means that. I know you don't, but I truly believe.
When have we seen that? When have we seen that? He's willing to do whatever it takes to win,
as long as he's the reason they win
by himself.
I disagree. I think he wants to be. I think he understands that being the reason they win means him giving up the ball. I think he understands that.
We haven't seen it. Objectively, we have not seen it. And listen,
we'll have to see it tonight.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna sit here and be like.
And by the way, I don't think long term that's the answer. I'll still say that long term that's not the answer, because if you get in a series against Boston where they don't have the defenders, the long wing defenders that Atlanta has, but they do have the size that can compete with the Karl-Anthony Towns, I actually do think that their best option will still be Jalen Brunson. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's a game by game basis, but like it can't be the same thing. It can't be like a one size fits all.
He also has to understand that the best path for him to score 30 points tonight is by playing off ball. The best chance for him to have an efficient shooting night for the first time this postseason since the first quarter of the first game will be for him to get off the ball. He has to know that. He
wasn't efficient last game.
That's what I'm saying. I said since the first quarter.
He's not been efficient a single game this year.
Yeah.
Jeff says, well done, guys. LFG Knicks. All right. Give me your confidence level, 1 through 5.
Tonight or the series as a whole, or
both? Because you said this is the series.
I think this is the series. I think
you tell me.
I think they'll win. I think we'll be frustrated at times. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Atlanta's going to come to play, and then the rest of the series will still feel like we didn't get our answer that we were looking for. Like Game 4 felt like an emphatic answer. I don't think we'll feel the same way after this game. Unfortunately, I still feel like we'll think we're still kind of iffy on this team, but we got to win. And now all you have to do is win one of the next two.
So 1 through 5.
Is that a 3.5, a 4?
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're going to win, so it's pretty high, right? Like my confidence.
I'd say like 4.
Yeah, my confidence that they're going to win is a 5, but my confidence that they're
going. There you go. That's it. Okay, so fine. Confidence going into tonight. Rami says 5.
Close win.
I'm gonna go 3.8. There's no guarantee the Knicks win this game. All right. I like the idea of the Knicks continuing to do what they did.
I don't think they're going to.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, I really don't think they are. And that's why
I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I
think they can win without it. Like they should have won the first 4 games without it, or the first 3 games.
It would just be too close for comfort. And we're going to be sitting here after the game being like, well, they got to, just like you said, well, they got to win. But I don't want to be at that point.
We're going to be sitting here clenching our butt cheeks.
It should be. Like they were a much more talented team than this Hawks team.
We're on the same page. It should be. If they do everything they did in Game 4, the Knicks should win by 30. Do you expect that to happen? I don't.
No. I mean, I think a lot of it, of course, hinges on the efficiency of Karl-Anthony Towns. And like, you know, of course, we're comfortable with him taking 10.
I have more confidence in Towns. I have more confidence in Towns than anyone else. Like, I think Towns is going to be ready to play, and he's going to be, if given the opportunity, he'll come through and he'll be efficient.
Rami, we've got to be fair. Like, the second Jalen tries to go all ISO ball and hero ball, like, we've seen it throughout the year. There's a chance that Cat's demeanor gets completely shot.
That's true.
And he gives up.
And checks out.
That's the other major risk behind Jalen doing what he loves to do and take the ball and do, pivots.
How do you hate Jalen Brunson so much?
I don't hate Jalen Brunson. I don't, but I do not listen. Okay, go back to last postseason. look at all the videos I made. Look how happy I was that Jalen Brunson played as well as he did. But unlike other people, I'm able to be objective.
I've criticized him too, but I've not made it all about him. And I'm not like, sarcastically calling him the king of New York and all that.
Listen, if we crown him the king of New York, if we say that he's like, if we give him all the credit, if we give him all the credit when the Knicks win, he deserves all of the blame or the majority of the blame if they lose, especially.
And he will if they lose the series. It'll be on Brunson.
Game plan. Okay, fair.
If they lose the series, everyone's ire is going to be on Brunson.
Has he played well this series at all?
No.
There you go. So I'm able to sit here and assign some blame.
But I'm the one who still expects him to play well moving forward.
And the love will always be as loud as the hate. Anyone want to knock me for my criticism? If he plays well, you're going to hear it from me. You're going to hear me give my flowers to Jalen Brunson for playing well. He has not played well. That's why you get this version of me. I don't hate Jalen Brunson. He's a legend in my eyes. One of the best Knicks ever. But he's got to show up. He's got to show up.
Well, hopefully he does show up. We're a couple of minutes away from tip. Tomorrow we have a great episode. Alex Day coming on to recap whatever happens tonight and then preview the rest of the series.
We got a few Alexes this week.
Yes.
One controversial one and one non-controversial one.
Yeah, Alex Day is pretty well liked by everyone.
The other one, not so much.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. But hopefully, we're talking about a win tomorrow. So stay tuned, stay locked for tomorrow's episode. We'll recap the game. If something wild happens tonight, I'm willing to fire up a live after the game. I'm here. So
that's on you. I gotta go to work.
All right. I don't have the morning shift tomorrow morning. I'm working the Yankee game instead. So
there you go.
So if something wild happens, if they blow them out and all of a sudden I'm feeling like the Knicks should win a championship and I got a couple pops in me and all of a sudden I'm feeling like really excited, or if they lose and the sky is falling and I tell you the season is over and Mike Brown shouldn't even coach in game 6, maybe we'll go live also. But if it's just kind of something in between, maybe we won't. So stay tuned. Tomorrow episode with Alex Day. We appreciate everyone for sharing the show. Like, subscribe, Knicks for clicks. See ya. Let's go Knicks.
Knicks, man. Go Knicks.